60105.
Who plays for what conference and who cares? Those are the two questions for today, y'all. Welcome in on this Monday. Monday. That's the mamas and the papas. What's up, mamas and papas out there? Welcome into the show. You can be a part of it today. I'm going to give you a number to text and a call. I sure am glad to be back on the radio with you. I'm glad to be here today to help us sift through all of the dirt and debris and try to find, those little nuggets of information that are worth taking home and sharing with your loved one. Yeah, and I got hot coffee to help me through the day as well. Man, I got no excuse. Welcome into the show in the Bureau, the Farm Bureau Insurance Studio. Farm Bureau, go with the home team. They are your home team at Farm Bureau Insurance across the great state of Mississippi. Your hometown heroes, that's your local Farm Bureau Insurance agents. I don't care how you're listening or wherever you're listening from or watching, whatever the case may be, I don't care. You can be a part of the show, and I hope you will be. Really and truly. You get a truthful answer out of us. For me and Beaver, it makes the show worthwhile when we get to hear from you a little bit. Because otherwise, it's like, Beaver and I could just talk on the phone or send voice messages back and forth all day and probably be okay with it. So get on in here. You can text the show at 885-3776. That is the Country Pleasing text line, Country Pleasing sausage on grocery store shelves all around the Southeast. I picked up a new package of jalapeno and cheddar yesterday at Kroger in my hometown of Tupelo, Mississippi. Yes, sir. Sure did. Started in on it actually last night. I did not wait until breakfast this morning. I ate some of it for supper. I had breakfast for supper last night. Okay, I fried 2 eggs and ate some sausage with it. Jalapeno and cheddar from Country Pleasing. So again, the text line is wide open. Hit me up there. It's a 601 number, 885-3776. And an easy way to remember it is 885-ESPN. You could also call me. That way I get to hear your voice. So just let me put the number out there in case you want to be on the show today. Yeah, lots of folks already know the number, but make sure you know. It's a 601 number, 995-1059. That's a 601 number, 995-1059. You call me. Your treat. Get to talk to Beaver first, and then you get to talk to me, and we can all chat it up wherever you want to go today on this sort of de facto Reaction Monday, even though there ain't a whole lot of sports this weekend to react to. You get on in here. I'd love to talk to you. And, of course, if you're watching on the live stream, hey to y'all. YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, drop a comment in there. I can see it. Questions, comments, opinions is all welcome. Get it on in here. Anything rude, crude might get deleted. Otherwise, it's a fair game. Pop it in there, and we'll pop it up here on the show. Like the first comment I get today on the live stream, it's on YouTube from Kobe, who says, it's almost football season. Boy, it won't be long now. Come on, fire up the band. It won't be long now. We'll be having a little football to talk about. You're going to have a full slate of preseason games this weekend in the NFL. Actually, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. All 4 of those days at the end of this week, you're going to have an NFL preseason game if you choose to, delve into those things. I won't watch a ton, but I always like to watch my team, the Chiefs, if they're on preseason. You get to look at players you drafted, young players, free agents, people trying to make the team, and names who came up last year from the practice squad, sent back down. They're trying to get a spot. It's the same on every team. I'll watch the Saints and I'll watch the Cowboys. And the good news is, I'm going to look it up again, but I think this weekend, it's either this weekend or the second week of the preseason, one or the other, the Saints and the Cowboys play each other in the preseason. So, starters, quarterbacks, and the like, not really going to play a whole lot in the preseason, but still, you do have that coming up. And then we're that, much closer, 1 weekend closer. We are 1 weekend closer to kicking it off in college football, and we'll have a lot to get into and talk about and look forward to this year. Over on Facebook, Roshana says, "Hey, Matt." Well, back at you, Roshana. Thanks for commenting on Facebook. It's good to have you in. And she's quoting me there. She says, "Like a monkey with his tail on a railroad track, it won't be long now." She's a Steelers fan. Gave us a hashtag Hail State and a hashtag Steelers Nation. And Will, thanks for your comment. He said, "Hail State, Matt, love the video over the weekend. Coffee commentary." Y'all go check that out. I laid down some thoughts, popped it up on the YouTube channel. I think it's on Facebook as well. Just kind of looking at 4 or 5 sort of points, bullet points, hit points that come out of this whole shuffling and conference realignment deal and killing the Pac-12 and everything. So check that out. You may be interested in it, and we'll appreciate the kind words for sure. All right, point of order. First up, Beaver, how are you? How was your weekend?
I would like to seed this time because we have Mountain Dog holding on the phone.
Oh, okay.
So let's go to him first.
Well, looky there. Indeed we do. And indeed I have a message from Beaver that says a call from Mountain Dog. Mountain Dog is on the Davini Equipment phone line, Davini Equipment in Madison and in Jackson. What's up, Mountain Dog?
So would that be the Kroger on Barnes Crossing or Kroger on Main?
It'd be on Main. That's right.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, head on
So,
out
you
there.
know, I
Load
live
up.
in Belden. I live in Belden now.
Oh, cool. I didn't know that.
Yeah. So I didn't get your show had already ended on Friday when I heard all this talk about Florida State and Clemson.
Yeah.
And correct me if I'm wrong, Matt. Don't you have to have a unanimous vote in the Southeastern Conference to admit new members? And I would think South Carolina and Florida would just go ape crap.
Yeah.
Over Clemson.
Okay. So without looking up some sort of bylaw, yeah, I'm under the same impression, Mountain Dog, that, you know,
I guess they would have to have their arms twisted or something. I don't know. Maybe the conference would say, look, you either do this or else.
Okay, well, see,
But
you're
man,
touching on
that's
it, though.
just-
Think about Texas A&M, right? I mean,
Well, I was thinking about that.
if-
I thought,
when-
well,
here comes
in, but to
Texas.
let Texas in.
yeah, here comes Texas and A&M, like leading up to that, given that they were the ones that tried to escape Texas and just get away from them and kill that rivalry, why on earth would they genuinely vote to allow them into this league? And it's like,
I know.
before it ever goes to a vote, all of that gets taken care of behind the scenes, apparently. I'm with you.
All right, brother. Well, have a good one. Be safe.
Yeah.
Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.
Thanks, man. Yeah, and if you go get some country pleasing sausage at Kroger, I did notice, so like the normal length, that's like one curve of the sausages there, but they had a new packaging. It's like a bigger package with a little more in it, a whole section in the freezer that kind of is a standalone out there, and of the original smoked sausage flavor. And the packaging was a little different. That's the first that I'd seen of that. So they got both there, Mountain Dog. Okay, to his point, y'all, he's right. When we went off the air on Friday, you know, you had all the stuff happening with the Pac-12 and the Big 12 and Arizona schools, and then Washington and Oregon leaving. It leaves the Pac-12 with 4 teams, and they're dead, and, you know, not ever going to be what it was, and all this different stuff. Well, what about Florida State's president saying, yeah, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense for us to stick around with the ACC? One of their board members going out publicly going, hey, it ain't a matter of if we leave the ACC, it's a matter of when. Okay, well, we got the grant of rights deal, all those things that make it a complicated issue for them. But from the perspective of the SEC, how would you answer these questions? First, does the SEC need any more teams? Even now with, you know, the Big Ten adding some. Look at the SEC's 16-team format footprint with Texas and Oklahoma added beginning this year. Does the SEC need to continue to expand? I'm really curious how you would answer that. Now, whether you believe they should expand or not, if we go down that path, the next question is, do they really need, does the SEC really, can you point to a specific, maybe even tangible reason the SEC should pursue Florida State and Clemson? I mean, I'm opening it up, totally open-ended on those two things. Even though the Big Ten's adding teams and growing their, geographic footprint, and obviously it means television markets for them potentially, I guess. I mean, they've already negotiated their deal for now. Even though that's happening, even though the Big 12 is strengthening by adding the Arizona schools and Utah, and maybe they'll go after another, we'll see. Even though the ACC seems really fragile over there, and they got the grant of rights thing, if they could get 7 or 8 of their schools together, they could get out of it. But, when or if that happened, all these things. Even with all of that happening, does the Southeastern Conference need to continue to expand? And I said need. I'm curious how you would answer that. And I'll see what I get from you, and then I'll kind of give you some of my thoughts on it. And then, like I said, if we take it let's go one step further past that question and just say, okay, let's consider a hypothetical expansion. What benefit to the Southeastern Conference is taking Florida State and Clemson? What do you justify that as? I guess another way to word the question would be, if the SEC were to continue to expand, who should they add? Who should they add and why? Now, you're going, well, Matt, you're not asking some question that's like a very, revolutionary question here. You're not going on a limb. Everybody's been talking. Yeah, I realize that. But I think we may be teetering towards getting closer to the reality of all this, and so it feels a little different discussing it now. If they do expand, who makes the most sense to add? Florida State's a brand. Clemson has championships in a brand. They got a great football team. Yeah, sure. But do they make sense for the SEC? How would you answer those two questions? And I really appreciate Mountain Dog your call, because we're on the same page. I hadn't even gotten to it yet in my long, drawn out, just kind of kicking the can around, having a good time intro. But I wrote down here on my little note card for today, which two, ? TWO, which two teams? Because I think it's a relevant question. All right, let me hit the text line, the Country Pleasing text line. Country Pleasing sausage on grocery store shelves all around the Southeast. I got an unnamed texter that says, and the only reason I know this unnamed texter is from Alabama is because I recognize the area code, which Alabama's got several of them, by the way. But it says, any surprises you've heard from Mississippi State camp yet? I've heard Isaac Smith is balling out, but any other names really stood out. Yeah, I've heard good things about him. I've heard really good things about Simeon Price, the running back. Yeah, but it's so early. And when you talk about like Isaac Smith and the freshman, generally that first college fall camp, they'll hit a wall at some point, and it's hard for some of them to push through that to then be a contributor early in the year. But we'll see if he's able to do that. Jables texts the show, and he says the SEC does not need to expand. But then he says, if you do, Clemson and FSU only. Okay, Jables, so you're saying they don't really need to expand, but if they go that route or feel pressure to, that it should be Florida State and Clemson. I'm asking why those two teams? Why? Let's drill down to why everybody thinks those two teams. Okay? PT for MSU says need to expand? No. But he texts here on the Country Pleasing text line. He said, I'd be tempted to go after North Carolina and Virginia before Clemson and Florida State. Now, before you scoff at that, think about it for a minute. And PT for MSU, I would ask you, okay, take it a little further. Give me just, some very basic reasoning why you say that. back it up with just a little bit of reasoning there why you're saying the SEC, if they're going to expand, you like North Carolina, Virginia better. Why is that? Jason out in Flagstaff, Arizona, texts the show, and he says, I don't think the SEC needs to, but they probably will just to keep from being surrounded by the Big Ten. This thing is going to end with 2 or 3 super conferences, and the SEC might as well be one of them. All right. See, I think that is a very realistic and relevant way to look at this, Jason, is do they need to expand, whether it be television or anything else? I don't know that they do. But with everything going on the way it is, the SEC may feel they have no choice but to continue to expand, because with what the Big Ten just did, the SEC may have to react because that was another step towards, as you say, either 2 or 3 mega conferences, and you don't want to necessarily be surrounded geographically. Now, that's just an idea. I'm not saying that's the word emanating from the offices in Birmingham. Somebody asked the question, if Florida State and Clemson go to the SEC, would they be able to bypass a grant of rights deal since the SEC is under an ESPN deal already? I don't think it works that way, because contracts are contracts with real clear language and who the two parties are. And so I don't think it would work that way. I guess unless, yeah, sure, ESPN would go along with it from their perspective as long as they get those 2 teams on their channel. The thing is, though, is if there are other teams that collectively represented the ACC in that agreement, they've got the contract in front of them and they can hold everybody else to the contract. And that's just the way they work. All right, over to the live stream real quick. A couple of comments. Jimmy on YouTube said TV markets don't really matter anymore as much as good matchups. Well, maybe, Jimmy, from a ratings standpoint, there may be a little truth in what you're saying, and I can see where you're coming from. But there's another factor, and it's just sheer subscriber numbers, period, across a footprint. Those add up and are very impactful when they put a dollar amount to the bottom line, and all these conferences know it. All these conferences know how desperate TV is right now for live sports, so they can basically demand whatever they want to demand. And finally here, well, not finally, but on YouTube, Will says, matchups matter to fans. That's why we want Clemson and Florida State. But media executives want eyeballs. We get more of them by getting into North Carolina and Virginia. That's what I'm driving at, Will. That's exactly what I'm driving at with those questions. Back to that in a second. First, over to the phone line, the Davini Equipment phone line. Davini Equipment, Madison and in Jackson. Winslow on line 1. What's up, Winslow?
Matt, how you doing?
Great. Thanks for calling.
Yeah, I watched this documentary over the weekend about the 1899 Sewanee team. I don't know if you've ever seen that or not.
I didn't. Where did you watch it? Where can I see it?
It was on PBS.
Okay. What did you think?
Yeah. Well, it's interesting, and it's kind of funny. I think it was made several years ago because Vince Dooley and Bobby, the Florida State coach.
Bowden, yeah.
Bowden, okay. I'm trying to call him Bobby Franklin. But anyway, they were interviewed. But, it's kind of what you'd expect, of the old-time original football, kind of reminds you of some of those 90-round bare knuckles boxing matches, except with a ball thrown in the middle of it. But the most interesting thing was at the very, very end, and, they go and they talk about what happened to those players later and everything. And at the very end, it says, and Sewanee, as one of the founding members of the SEC, even though they left in 1940, they have the option to rejoin the SEC in the future. And then they quickly say, but that's never going to happen.
Yeah.
But the reason it stuck out to me is there some kind of obscure clause somewhere that gave those original teams the option to return to the SEC, kind of a first right of refusal or whatever.
Yeah.
You don't think that Tulane would ever go back, but given the state of the ACC, is that some kind of obscure historical reference that Georgia Tech trots out there and puts it in front of Greg Sankey and says, okay, we're exercising our option. We're back in the SEC now.
And that is a great question. And so you heard that, I guess, a line in that documentary. And I've never heard that before.
Me either. And it's the very last thing that they said. They said, and as one of the original SEC members, Sewanee has the option to return to the conference. But that's never going to happen, they say.
Yeah.
And it wouldn't. I mean, they're a totally different school than they were, 175 years ago, whenever this happened, It's a fascinating little story, though. I mean, as a former college player, I think you'll get a kick out of it. It talks about how they played 12 games in a month and a half, and at one time they played 5 games in 6 days, and they shut everybody out except Auburn. They beat Auburn 11-10 when John Heisman was the coach there.
Yeah.
And everybody else they shut out. Texas A&M. They played Ole Miss and Memphis. Just kind of a murderer's row schedule, and somehow they won every one of them.
5 games in 6 days.
That wasn't as interesting. Yeah, exactly. And they had these 2 trainers that went on the train with them. They called them rubbers. And basically, they would, I guess, give them physical therapy between games on the trains and whatnot.
Isn't that funny?
But it's really interesting. But the most interesting thing is the very last line, and you have to wonder.
Yeah, we'll look for that.
We've heard, that State and Ole Miss can never be voted out of the SEC because they were charter members.
Yeah.
And I just wondered if there was some other clause in there that says that, charter members at
Winslow,
their option
thanks for the call
return.
so much. The music's cutting us off. Thanks for the call.
Today's game from Tuscaloosa, Alabama.
Time was their breakfasts were gloomy. They just didn't feel right, and they didn't know a delicious cereal could help their sad plight. So they tried this and tried that, but irregularity kept coming back all the same. For as often the case, lack of bulk in their diet was actually to blame. Once at the grocer's, the wife was so drooping and sagging that a neighbor said, "Get on Kellogg's All-Bran wagon. Why, All-Bran has a flavor that's scrumptious to eat. So rich and nut-like, makes breakfast a treat. And of course, Kellogg's All-Bran can help you each day to youthful regularity, the dietary way." "Well, it might do some good," said the wife with a sigh. "Guess I'll get some All-Bran and give it a try." Soon, breakfasts at her house were happy and bright, for delicious Kellogg's All-Bran set their day off right. Yes, All-Bran supplies all the bulk in your diet, you see, that you may need for youthful regularity. And no half-brand cereal possibly can provide this help as surely as Kellogg's All-Bran. A delicious, non-habit-forming aid to your diet. You're sure to like All-Bran. Just buy it and try it.
Get on the Kellogg's All-Bran wagon with the best bran in the land. The cereal, the taste bran, the cereal that's All-Bran. A breakfast treat that can't be beat. Be a regular guy and climb aboard the All-Bran wagon. Eat Kellogg's All-Bran.
What is the secret of this enchanted book? What wonders are hidden within its pages? What magical spell does it cast on all who read it? What is the secret of the never-ending story?
But that's impossible!
You will enter a world where a young boy's imagination becomes a vivid reality. The world of Atreyu and Artax, the Rockbiter, and a good and kind gnome. A world that is vast and eternal, treacherous and dazzling, unforgettable and free. For anyone who's ever made a wish, believed in a fantasy, or had a dream, this is the never-ending story.
It's a new thing. It's a fun thing. It's a swing wing.
It's a what?
It's a swing wing. It's a wing wing. A brand new transparent fun thing.
It's a what?
It's a swing wing. A fun thing. And now it's your favorite store thing.
It's a what?
Mazda announces some great news for truck buyers. Right now, you can beat the already outstanding value of the $67.95 Mazda SE5. Introducing Mazda SE5 Plus 5. $625 worth of extra features at no extra charge from Mazda. You get a bed liner, mud guards, sliding rear window, floor mats, and AM/FM.
All right, back with you. It is so good to hear from everybody on this Monday. I got more messages and text messages on the Country Pleasing text line than I can shake a stick at. Comments on the live stream. Had some great phone calls, including Winslow, if you're tuning in. Yeah, the music there on the hard break cut us off just a bit ago, but thanks for the heads up on that. And, you know, I love a good documentary. Generally, it has to be somewhat historical to really pull me in, and I don't know why I am that way. I still have not watched the Michael Jordan deal that the whole world has watched. You know, I don't know why I'm such a late adopter on that stuff, but the one with Sewanee, the original member of the SEC, 5 games in 6 days, 100 and something years ago, I think I'm going to have to go look for that one. I'm sure there's a way I can find it. So thanks for the call. So let me get going here because we are, if I'm not careful, it's not we, if I'm not careful, I'm going to get way behind. And I want to see what all your messages say here. So let's dive in. Will on YouTube said, I think Woody Marks primed for a breakout. Not that he wasn't good before, but with a new running offense, look for the running backs to get more handoffs. And he said Simeon Price too. I 100% agree with you. I think Woody Marks may be the best football player on the whole team. And I think he's going to get a chance to finally show that. I really hope he stays healthy because he will show that. Jared on Facebook said, why are they doing any of this? TV revenue, so they expand the SEC footprint into North Carolina and Virginia. If they want Florida State and Clemson, it's because ABC Disney wants the marquee matchups on their games to draw more eyes. Okay, Jared, here's what I would say about that. Somebody commented earlier in this discussion. I'll find it here at some point. And they interjected the idea, well, it was you, Jared. I guess it came back and said, why only 2? You know, why would they be in a position to only add 2? He said they could add 12 more teams. The rules are out the window. So this is my thing, yes. If somehow these ACC schools either find a way out of their grant of rights contract that goes through 2036, or that whole thing breaks up or breaks down. I'm not saying I hope it does. I'm just saying if it does. Jared, here's what I think. I don't think it makes any sense for the SEC to go and just take Florida State and Clemson. Right? Because you do have South Carolina and you do already have Florida. But we've seen South Carolina's not an original member like Florida is, but you know, Texas A&M wasn't, and here comes Texas, all those different things. Sure, they add the matchup. Sure, they strengthen your footprint. Sure, they kind of, build the brand. And yes, they add for your TV partner. So there's an advantage there for them, but you wouldn't take just those 2. You would absolutely work to get into the state of North Carolina and into the state of Virginia, which opens up all these other possibilities. Because, Jared, just like you say, if we get there, we're going that route, they're not looking at adding just Virginia and just North Carolina, because you have Virginia Tech and North Carolina State also. That even strengthens it even more. And in that footprint, it's even more subscribers. Why do I mention subscribers? Remember this. When they sit down and renegotiate these TV deals, it's just like taking Missouri all those years ago. They didn't take Missouri because of some massive behemoth fan base or some huge national brand, or they didn't take Missouri because it so much added to the interest of their matchups on TV and the people watching Missouri on TV. It added the population of the state of Missouri into the negotiations. When you start talking about subscribers, when I say subscriber, it's what you pay that $5 a month for ESPN Plus, and so do I. Me and you times 2 million. Okay? That's what it is. It's adding that population basically into your negotiations with TV partners. And the TV partners aren't mad about it. So, Jared, you're on to something with that comment. When all that happens, when and if, and back to what somebody said on the text line a minute ago, it's not really about, I think it was Jason who said, it's not really about whether or not the SEC needs, per se, by definition, to expand now. It's just that they may read the tea leaves and see that they are motivated to. They are almost obligated to continue to grow, because with the latest move, the Pac-12 falling apart, and the latest move of the Big Ten, you don't want to get surrounded. You're number one. You might as well stay number one, and it doesn't hurt you to go ahead and wrap your arms around those others if they're willing to do it. Just one way to look at it. All right, more of your comments on the live stream coming up over here on the Country Pleasing text line. White Denzel says, adding FSU and Clemson not only gives us bigger matchups in the SEC, but also those two teams make our softball, baseball, and men's and women's basketball even better. There may be something to that in terms of what you then offer as a league to your TV partners. Ronnie texts the show, says yes for the because the Big 12 and Big 10 are going for a power grab. And it is true. Again, total hypothetical, Ronnie, but if you wake up tomorrow and somehow Florida State and Clemson are out of the ACC and are out from under their contract with them and are available, there's no way the SEC is going to let them just go be a part of the Big 12 without talking to us first. And they probably already are and have. Bernie from Canada texts the show and says, since money drives it all, what if some future date both State and Vandy are expelled? Well, again, you've got this historical contract deal here. Well, not even really a contract, just a bylaw deal as original members of the SEC. However, I haven't read it. And I wonder that too. It grows to a certain way and goes a certain direction. Does anybody get left out? Without seeing it in black and white on some, declaration of formation 100 and some odd years ago, then I don't really know. I'm kind of like you. Nick texts the show and he says, well, Florida State and Clemson aren't just football powers. They also have great baseball programs, but I'd assume they're looking for new TV markets, which would include the states of North Carolina and Virginia. The answer to all your questions is money. And that's what I think, Nick. Again, this goes back to, and I pointed this out kind of clearly and illustrated it in the video that Will commented. It's on my YouTube channel. It's on Facebook. I think I put a link on Twitter the other day about, what killed the Pac-12. They killed it, and here's a little bit of why. And is all this good or bad? All the decision-making at the conference level, and it's not just the SEC, for 30-plus years has every time they weigh most heavily the financial. It's all about money, and it has been, and that's why it's gotten to the point that it's gotten, and things have gone where they've gone. So, yes. So I'm saying the SEC's in a spot where if those ACC teams fall, if that league falls apart, The SEC is not necessarily in a need to expand, but then they could. And if you're in that position, you're not being forced to, you're just going to do what's best for you. Sure, we'll expand. We'll figure out a way to appease Florida and South Carolina and bring in their in-state rivals, but we're also going to appease them with millions more dollars in the future because we're adding the states of North Carolina and Virginia to the footprint also. Jason in Flagstaff said, also, if nobody else does, I'd like to see the SEC pick up Washington State and Oregon State at the yard sale just out of spite. Saying we can do it too. That's a little odd. It's hard for me to wrap my head around that one. PT for MSU said, in regards to his answer earlier, he's the first one that kind of brought it up when I asked the question. I was hoping somebody would go there. The SEC doesn't need, but he said, I'd be tempted to go after North Carolina, Virginia before Clemson and Florida State. And that's what he said. New TV markets, both good basketball schools, both great academic institutions. That's true. What if we flip it the other way too? We're doing all these hypotheticals because they seem a whole lot closer to reality than they did last week, this time. So what if you flip it now and talk about it from their perspective? If you are Virginia and North Carolina, even Clemson and Florida State, and you could pick SEC or Big Ten, which do you pick and why? I know how I would answer that right now. No question. If you're Virginia, you pick the Big Ten or the SEC if you had your choice. If you're North Carolina, Big Ten or SEC, you got your choice. What are you picking? Jake from Yazoo texts the show. Country Pleasing text line said, happy Monday, gents. Have a great show. I'll chime in on something other than the college football realignment. I understand. Jake, I understand if you're fed up with it. Jabel's in defense of taking Clemson and Florida State, says they are the best programs that fit the SEC footprint and would solidify the TV audiences in Florida and South Carolina. A lot of truth there. Brett in Madison said Clemson and South Carolina. Have the rivalries. Somebody else said Clemson, Florida State, North Carolina, Miami. You'd be adding 2 schools in Florida. And then someone else said markets matter, but the SEC is kind of the exception. People watch the SEC because it's the best brand of college football. So might as well grab the big brands and keep existing rivalries if they are going to expand. It's a different perspective of looking at it. I don't think it's an untrue one. It's just a different one than you hear a lot. If you're an ACC school and you can get out, where are you going? Stick around.
C-Spire Customer Inspiration Team, 9:12 a.m.
We've got great deals and great unlimited.
Have you ever wished for one product that would clean and shine almost everything in your house? Here it is, Clean and Shine. Like magic, Clean and Shine leaves a nice shine on fine wood furniture, so you don't need furniture polish. It cleans and shines mirrors, so you don't need glass cleaner for mirrors. It cleans and shines refrigerators, like this kitchen product. Even countertops, tile, and vinyl. Try new Clean and Shine, the foam that cleans and shines almost everything in your house.
Someday when people look at me, they'll say, there goes Roy Hobbs, the best there ever was.
TriStar Pictures presents Robert Redford in The Natural, the story of a father and a son.
You got a gift, Roy, but it's not enough.
Of love.
He means the world to me.
And desire.
I'm not waiting for true love to come along, Roy.
A champion.
Roy Hobbs comes along once, maybe twice in everybody's lifetime.
And his destiny.
With or without the records, they'll remember you.
Best there is now, and best there ever will be.
I wouldn't bet against me.
I already have.
Robert Redford, Robert Duvall, Glenn Close, Kim Basinger, Wilford Brimley, Barbara Hershey, Robert Prosky, and Richard Farnsworth as Red. The Natural.
Would you believe I'm Bugs Bunny? I'm also the voice of many other cartoon characters. But in here, they don't care if I'm Elmer Fudd. So I carry an American Express card, the one card I need for travel and entertaining, for business and pleasure. Why, without this, the only way I'd get any attention is by saying, that's all, folks.
To apply for a card, call 800-528-8000.
The American Express card. Don't leave home without it.
The following is a presentation of TBS Sports. Exclusively on Superstation TBS. Superstation TBS presents the Atlanta Braves, America's team. Atlanta Braves baseball is brought to you by Budweiser. Beechwood Age for that distinctively clean, crisp taste that makes Budweiser the king of beers. This Bud's for you. By the official airline of the Atlanta Braves, Delta. We love to fly, and it shows. And by Eckerd Drugs, America's family drugstore.
If a man you've never met before suddenly gives you flowers, that's elation. The exciting new fragrance from Impulse.
Thursday, it's Cosby starting off a night of family fun. And leave it to Family Ties to keep the laughs coming.
Oh, no. What are we going to do? Everything's under control.
Then on Cheers, will Norm fink on a friend to get a promotion?
Yeah, yes, Stone. Yes.
And the fun continues with Night Court.
I'm here to strip for Dan Fielding.
Thursday.
Oh, what a meal, oh.
Hamburger helper lasagna.
For your family.
Authentic Italian taste.
Hearty Robusto.
1059.com.
That's what I'm getting at, Jimmy. Jimmy, that's exactly what I'm driving at right there. I'll give you his comment. He's on YouTube. I'm Matt in the Bureau, the Farm Bureau Insurance Studio. Farm Bureau Insurance. Go with the home team. They are your home team at Farm Bureau Insurance. Jimmy said, I personally think that Florida State would rather go to the Big Ten. If the past is any indication, they want no part of an SEC schedule. Right? Okay, so we're doing this hypothetical game, and I'm about to flip the switch and talk about something totally different here in a minute. That did happen in Mississippi this weekend. It just ended yesterday, in fact. But one last thing on that note. That's why I brought that up. You put yourself in the shoes of University of Virginia, Clemson, Florida State, North Carolina, particularly North Carolina, Virginia, those two schools. Let's say the ACC breaks up somehow. They find somehow. It's hypothetical. Let's say they do. Maybe they all get together or whatever. And let's say you have a choice, Big Ten or SEC. Really, you can choose. You know, let's just say that's the case. Which one you going for? Because from a football perspective, I don't think they want, unless they had to, they don't want to play that SEC schedule every year. Whatever your win total is, subtract. No question about it. The other side of that, though, is the SEC footprint geographically is so much tighter and so much more organized. You don't try. I mean, what's your farthest trip to Texas A&M? You know, well, I guess maybe Oklahoma when all that happens. I'm not familiar with the Texas map to know the difference between Austin and A&M that much in terms of hours on an airplane. But still, you see what I mean? It's a much more tighter grouped area geographically, especially considering where they are on the East Coast. Whereas you jump in there and you're on some map with the Big Ten. Maybe it fits more academically. I don't know. They will claim that it does. You certainly would prefer in football and in basketball, play in the Big Ten schedule. Certainly in football, you prefer that. You're going to have more wins. But you're going to be flying to the West Coast, son. You're going to L.A. every now and then. And Seattle. And Eugene. And I tell you, that's a drawback. So I don't know how they would choose. All right. Earlier, he stepped out of the way so we could take a phone call, but I want to talk to Beaver. Hey, B.
Hey, Matt Wyatt.
As I was saying, how was your weekend?
I was fine.
Did you do any fishing this weekend?
No, I did not.
Well, there were some people that did. And I'm going to tell everybody about it in a minute. I had a huge catfish tournament over in Vicksburg this past weekend. Yeah. I think we're going to get some cooler temperatures this week, Beaver. At least I hope. I know last week for you there in that part of the state, Jackson, Central Mississippi, it was brutally hot. Did y'all get rained on this weekend at all?
I didn't. Not at my house.
Yeah. You're in, and where are you, in Pearl or are you in Brandon?
Pearl.
You're in Pearl. Man, up here in North Mississippi last night in Tupelo, we had one of those like pop-up thunder storms move through here, and it just, I'm talking about, here it came, and strong winds. Everybody's yard's full of limbs and leaves and debris. The roads got all kinds of stuff. And there were actually people injured, multiple people injured, and some unfortunately killed from falling trees. And now this wasn't tornadoes. This was just a storm with winds, packing winds came through here. It was wild. But we did get rain. Y'all didn't, I guess y'all avoided all of that. So it's about to happen again? All right. The homecoming queen she's busy, but she had enough time to overhear me, and she just came through and said that up this part of the way, it's about to happen again. We got a huge storm coming, apparently. So, batten down the hatches, I guess. No, listen, I got to tell you about this fishing event that they had in Vicksburg this weekend, and it ended yesterday. I may have mentioned it once or twice last week, letting you know that it was going to happen. Bill Dance, the Bill Dance that we grew up watching on television, that wore the Tennessee hat, and he was a bass fisherman mostly, and he had the bass fishing show and everything. That's how you know Bill Dance. Well, he has started a catfish fishing tour. It is a tournament. They catch them, weigh them, release them. Prize money for winners, all this kind of stuff. They just had a 2-day catfish tournament in Vicksburg. They fished in the river. They would pull into the convention center, get up on stage, take a picture with these humongous catfish. Some of these guys, it's like they get the fish out. My mother-in-law and father-in-law went to the weigh-in. They get this catfish, takes their entire body to hold this catfish up, and it's like whack, whack, slapping them in the face and flipping and flopping. These huge things weigh 60 and 70 pounds, and then they get them weighed in and all this. And the winning team won $50,000 yesterday. It ended yesterday on Sunday. But this is the thing that I noticed about it. All right. Well, several observations. First, number one, I got to be honest, it was way cooler than any bass fishing tournament I've ever seen. As far as like a weigh-in. Way cooler. Bass, I mean, you go to a bass tournament, it's neat. No, I used to be super into it. I used to do it. I was obsessed with it. Big 6, 7, maybe 8 pound fish. You weigh it in. It might be the biggest one in the tournament. That's great and all. We're talking, you're going to the stage here with something that weighs 70 pounds and potentially more. So the fish are just bigger. Okay. It's just, there's something cool about that to me. The anticipation of seeing them haul these massive catfish up onto the stage for a photo op, get them weighed and then release them. to me, is much better than, 5 bass in a bag that weigh 19 pounds. I used to be all into the bass tournament. This was really cool, if you ask me, just because of the size of these things. The other observation was, I was reading about it. The Vicksburg Post covered this after Saturday, which was the first round. And here's what it said in the story. The top 4 teams on Saturday had the option to split $90,000 amongst themselves or go back into the river and fish again on Sunday for the $50,000 grand prize for the top team. And here's the wording in the story on the Vicksburg Post. The teams decided to go big or go home and will fish on Sunday to the death. Yeah, I don't know who wrote that, but I love it. Okay? Fish to the death. I get it that it's sort of sudden death maybe deal, but still, just the idea of it's either catch fish or death. Okay, that's how this started to begin with, because it was food, right? So get this, the top 4 teams, they're in there on Saturday, and they say to them, boys, all 4 teams, we've got $90,000. Here it is. Y'all can either agree to split it 4 ways, and we're done, or all 4 teams can go back out tomorrow, and one team's going home with $50,000. What is, y'all mathematicians out there, what is $90,000 split 4 ways? That would have been $22,500 per team. $22,000 and change per team for all 4 teams. And they chose, no, don't want that. I want to go back out on Sunday with a chance to win the 50. And only one team did. A team of brothers did it yesterday. Their names, Donnie and Lonnie Fountain. They are from Georgia. They got first place yesterday. A total weight of 146.5 pounds. The biggest catfish caught by the pair weighed 58 pounds. 58.30 pounds. And the Fountain brothers from Georgia won the whole thing. $50,000. Y'all, I'm telling you, I've been following fishing my whole life. And then for a good portion of my life, I've been following tournament bass fishing. I thought it was the coolest thing I'd ever seen. I got obsessed with it. Y'all, this is better. I'm in. I'm not saying I could ever do it. But the idea, you're on the Mississippi River, you weigh in a fish that weighs almost 60 pounds, takes 2 people to hold it for a photo op on the stage. It was incredible. Oh, by the way, Vicksburg has secured it. They're going to host the same event next year. And I will be there, good Lord willing. All right, hour 1 in the books. Hour 2 coming up right after this in the Bureau. Stick around.
You okay, sir? I'm Jerry from Cisco.
Thursday, it's Cosby starting off a night of family fun. And leave it to Family Ties to keep the laughs coming.
Oh, no. What are they going to do? Everything's under control.
Then on Cheers, will Norm Fink on a friend to get a promotion?
Yeah, yes, yes.
And the fun continues with Night Court. Thursday.
For over half a century, dairymen have tried to capture in cans the flavor of pure, fresh milk. And now Foremost has discovered the secret with an evaporated milk that's closest by far to fresh milk itself.
Kind of hard to believe, isn't it? An evaporated milk that doesn't have that old-fashioned evaporated milk taste. But it's true, and you can prove it. You know how most evaporated milks taste in coffee. The flavor goes flat. But try Foremost. You'll see it's white, the way milk ought to look, not drab tan like other brands. And when you taste it, well, if you're anything like me, you'll never even know it isn't pure, fresh cream. You try it and see. That's Foremost, the closest thing in cans to pure, fresh milk. Remember, your family gets the most from Foremost.
Coca-Cola, come on, girl, gotta share a Coke with you. Let the feeling show through. You wanna live a little bit more. That's what the taste of Coke is for. Coke is life. Everybody wants a little life. Coca-Cola, Coke is life. Everybody wants.
Come on, Harry, come on. We're getting our picture taken.
Special moments. Times of your life you'll want to remember. In pictures.
Smile, Howard. Smile.
To help make those pictures look as good as they can, make sure Kodak paper is behind them. If you don't see these words, it isn't Kodak paper. Just look for this sign when you get your pictures. Kodak paper, for a good look at the times of your life.
See, wasn't that fun?
Come and get it. Come and get it.
Stop the confusion. Stop the confusion. Everybody wants to get into the act with Kellogg's Variety Pack. Buster wants the cornflakes. Pop wants a pep. Mama loves the raisin bran. Mama is hip. Sister loves Rice Krispies. And there's Uncle Jack. He loves Kellogg's shredded wheat. Kellogg's makes it fun to eat. Breakfast with Variety Pack. Okay, folks, there's your favorite individual box of cereal. Fresh from Kellogg's Variety Pack. Untouched by human hands, except your own. That don't mean you gotta eat with 'em. Each individual box comes to your FOD, fresh on delivery from Battle Creek, right to your own dish. Yeah, everybody wants to get into the act with Kellogg's Variety Pack. Yes, sir, Kellogg's Variety Pack.
Here comes the one, the delicious one. Heinz is the favorite one. There's only one ketchup with this flavor pouring on. So thick, so rich, so second to none.
Only one ketchup stands for this kind of thickness with this kind of taste. Heinz.
Heinz is the big rich one.
I love the rich, whole wheat goodness of Kellogg's Mini Wheats. But the delicious frosted side makes the rich kid in me open wide.
The nutritious shredded wheat helps keep me on my toes. But the little ballerina in me thinks the taste steals the show.
Kellogg's Mini Wheats, wholesome shredded wheat for the adult in you, great taste for the kid in you. So they're delicious and nutritious.
The whole grain wheat really packs a crunch, but the delicious taste gives it just the right punch.
Like sands through the hourglass, so are the days of our lives.
Have you ever wished for one product that would clean and shine almost everything in your house? Here it is, Clean and Shine. Like magic, Clean and Shine leaves a nice shine on fine wood furniture, so you don't need furniture polish. It cleans and shines mirrors, so you don't need glass cleaner for mirrors. It cleans and shines refrigerators, like this kitchen product. Even countertops, tile, and vinyl. Try new Clean and Shine, the foam that cleans and shines almost everything in your house.
Someday when people look at me, they'll say, there goes Roy Hobbs, the best there ever was.
TriStar Pictures presents Robert Redford in The Natural, the story of a father and a son.
You got a gift, Roy, but it's not enough.
Of love.
He means the world to me.
And desire.
I'm not waiting for true love to come along, Roy.
A champion.
Roy Hobbs comes along once, maybe twice in everybody's lifetime.
And his destiny.
With or without the records, they'll remember you.
Best there is now, and best there ever will be.
I wouldn't bet against me.
I already have.
Worldwide.
Now,
Zone 1059.com.
All right. Back with you. Hour 2. Off and running in the Bureau, the Farm Bureau Insurance Studio. Staying connected to you because of C-Spire, the #1 network in Mississippi. C-Spire, customer inspired. I'm Matt Beavers here. All y'all, I really do appreciate you being a part of it today. So if you're on the live stream, Facebook, YouTube, hey to y'all. Feel free to type in a comment, hit it right there, submit it, and I'll see it. I'll give you an example of that in a minute. You can text the show, call the show. Those numbers are on the bottom of the screen. If you're looking at the live stream, it's live on Facebook, live on YouTube, live on Twitter right now. And I'll give you those numbers on the radio here in just a second. Percy on Facebook said, good to have you back on my phone. Well, I am glad to be back on your phone and appreciate you tuning in. Now, okay, I'm still keyed up and got a little adrenaline going from talking to y'all about this story. Now, if I went back 20 years ago when I was like obsessed with bass fishing and fishing in tournaments, bass, and I still love to go catch bass right now. Like, it's sort of the go-to. I don't have a boat now, but if I go walk around or go with somebody, I'm probably throwing a brush hog or a crankbait or something, see if I can catch a largemouth or whatever. Go to Pickwick, try to catch smallmouth. But I really enjoy catching anything and everything. I have caught a lot of catfish in my life, but I've never caught those humongous ones out there. You got the big, almost like saltwater tackle reels, and they're bolting you down in the back of the boat. You know what I'm saying? I've never done that. And it's the neatest thing. And Bill Dance, I'm not surprised he's the one that's involved with it. They just had a 2-day Bill Dance catfish mega something tournament in Vicksburg. They did the weigh-in at the convention center. They fished in the Mississippi River. Humongous weights. 2 brothers from Georgia actually wound up winning first place prize. The biggest one they weighed in was 58 pounds. Okay. Gene commented on Facebook and said that the biggest fish weighed in, the biggest one, was on Saturday, one that weighed 72.5 pounds. And okay, and here's the deal. My mother and father-in-law, Debbie and Winky, they live in Vicksburg. They went to the weigh-in on Saturday at the convention center. So she was sending me pictures. She was texting me pictures and some video of what they were seeing. I've seen a lot of weigh-ins. I've seen the big bass tournament weigh-ins where, they got all the stuff on the stage and they're blowing smoke and the boat pulls up and it's a guy on a microphone and the crowd's like, woo, and it's all these picture and photo ops and you hold the fish. Well, this is a similar deal. It's just this time, these guys it takes their entire body and both arms to hold up one fish. Like, hurry up, take your picture, take it. And the fish is like, slapping him in the face. And one guy dropped the fish on the stage. Boom! He's flopping around up there. It's just great. I didn't even see it in person. And I know it's awesome. And Vicksburg is going to get the tournament next year. I'm going back. I will be there next year. Pictures, video to ensue. But the thing I want to do, I want to go with somebody that catches those kind of catfish in the Mississippi River. Are you kidding me? I'm just saying, just from a distance, it's the neatest fishing tournament thing I've ever seen. And I've never gone, to one of those deals like on the coast where they have the marlin deal or whatever. I've never gone to any of those. And so I'm sure maybe that's just as cool because those fish are even bigger, right? But still. Really neat stuff. Thanks for commenting. All right. I told you that I would give you the numbers. Why don't we do that now? You can be a part of the show. Text me on the Country Pleasin' text line. Country Pleasin' sausage on grocery store shelves all around the Southeast. I told you yesterday in Tupelo I picked up a new package of jalapeno and cheddar. They had andouille in there. They had the original. And by the way, you may see it. I saw it yesterday. I didn't know they had this, but they had a big section in the cooler, like away from the wall there in Kroger, where down in it was a huge section of Country Pleasin' sausage, the original smoked sausage flavor. but the packaging was a little different. Instead of like one link in the curve, it was like 4 big pieces in one package. It was a bigger package. So y'all may see some of that. Just a heads up. And I would imagine, like, if you're cooking something and need a lot of it, that'd be the way to go. Anywho, number to text the show, 885-3776. Got it? It's a 601 number, 885-3776. Another way to remember it is 885-ESPN. And you can call the show, get to hear your voice that way. Call me on the Davini Equipment phone line, 995-1059. It's a 601 number, 995-1059. Davini Equipment, Madison and in Jackson, your Kubota dealer. They are the oldest Kubota dealer in the U.S. It means they've been doing it better, longer than anyone else right here at home at Davini. So call me on that number, 995-1059. C-Dub on the Country Pleasing text line says, have you had the Country Pleasing crawfish and pork flavor? Oh, my gosh. Yes, I have. Yes, I have. Now, hey, I bought it, C-Dub, and just ate it, cooked it and ate it. But it would be perfect for using it in like red beans and rice, jambalaya, and different things like that as you're cooking. Things that you would use andouille to cook with, to make certain dishes and things with, that crawfish and pork sausage would be absolutely perfect for it. A buddy of mine, Matt Caldwell, who was an offensive lineman at Mississippi State. He's a few years older than me. He's coached and been a head coach all over the state of Mississippi and different places. He's now an assistant at Hillcrest in Columbus under another former Mississippi State offensive lineman, Tobias Smith, who's the head coach. And Matt tweeted me this weekend he had picked up a package of that crawfish and pork, and I told him he would love it. And he messaged me back and said he did love it. Said it was really good. So, C-Dub, I've had it. And as soon as they start carrying that in Kroger, I'll be buying it up. Joe Mailman texts the show and says, "What would that sausage make good catfish bait?" Hey, that is a good question, Joe. Well, it leads me to a good question. In an official, big time professional catfish tournament, like the one they just had in Vicksburg, where the winner got $50,000 yesterday. Well, what kind of bait are they allowed to use? What kind of bait do they use? Said the biggest one that was weighed in the 2 days in Vicksburg, Saturday, somebody weighed one in that was 72 pounds, a little over 72 pounds. I mean, what do they use? Are they cutting up? What do they use? Chicken leg? I don't know. I mean, what? And then Jason in Flagstaff, Arizona says, get somebody to take you out on the waterway. I guess that would be the Tom Bigby, the 10 Tom Waterway. He says, I don't know if he's still there, but there used to be a guy in Smithville. Yeah, that'd be 10 Tom, who fairly regularly pulled 40 to 100 pound catfish out from below the dams. Whew. I mean, 100 pound catfish. It's dangerous, right? I mean, he gets hungry enough, he'd eat just about anything, I would think. Anyhow, y'all check it out. I actually tweeted on Saturday, I think it was Saturday, a picture or two, including one where Bill Dance himself did make an appearance. He's wearing his Tennessee hat, his patented mesh orange and white Tennessee Volunteers hat. He did make an appearance. It was really cool. All right. Got a question for you. Back to football for a minute. Now, first hour, there was all this talk about realignment and stuff. So we're off that. Okay. So who was it? Jake from Yazoo that texted the show, and he said, love you guys. Have a great Monday, but I'll come back after you get done with all this conference realignment stuff. So I'm sure there are people who are sick of it. So, Jake, if you happen to be listening, this is not conference realignment related, okay? I'm going to see. This is for the people who haven't already seen this article, okay, over at ESPN. This morning, they ranked college football's biggest underachievers. This would be teams, it's not individuals. College football's biggest underachievers. Before I tell you who they ranked, this is for, again, the ones who hadn't seen the article. Before I tell you who they ranked as the biggest underachievers in college football, who do you think is at the top? Got any guesses? Let's see if Beaver's got a guess. Hey, B.
Hey.
Who do you think ESPN put as the number one biggest underachiever in college football?
Ooh, underachiever.
Mm-hmm.
Not Texas A&M. That seems too obvious. I don't know, Matt Wyatt. Who?
It is, in fact, Texas A&M.
Okay.
It's like you answered it and didn't really mean to answer it. I mean, but I love what you said. You said, well, it couldn't be Texas A&M. That's too obvious. Like, this is a really easy question. Everybody so far is on the same page. Beaver said Texas A&M was the obvious choice. Chuck on YouTube said Notre Dame. Okay, Miko on the Country Pleasing text line said Notre Dame. And Nunya on the text line said Texas A&M. So far, all we've heard is Notre Dame and Texas A&M. Well, indeed, okay, ESPN put Texas A&M as number one. The number one underachiever in college football they have is Texas A&M. And guys, I got to be honest with you. If I scroll, I don't see Notre Dame anywhere. They've put them in different tiers. They got 7 different tiers of this, header, biggest underachievers in college football. Notre Dame's not on here. So if you said Notre Dame, I'd love to know why you think that, and then we'll see if we agree with you. After 2020, it said A&M appeared to be on its way under Jimbo Fisher. Top 5 finish. Big time recruiting. Financial clout has never been an issue in Aggie land, it says, and I think that is true. It says few programs in the country are better positioned for the NIL era. They keep calling it the NIL era, but it is the pay-for-play era. Oh, Nunya with a guess for number 2. All right, I'm going to come to that, Nunya. A&M, number one, biggest underachiever in college football. They got all these advantages. They're in Texas, top 5 in recruiting, position for the NIL, all this. It says instead, A&M went 13-11 overall and 6-10 in the SEC over the past 2 seasons. Isn't that hard to believe? They are 13-11 and 6-10 in the SEC in the past 2 years. And I mean, what? Okay, state, and so that's since Kellen Mond, right? Yeah, that's post Kellen Mond. And it's not like they don't have ability, right? Because 2 years ago, like State's beat them 2 years in a row. The Air Raid beat A&M 2 years in a row, beat them 2 years ago in College Station in 2021. Last year, just beat them like a drum in Starkville. But that year, 2 years ago, in A&M, in the same building, is when A&M beat Alabama. Remember that? They beat Bryce Young in Alabama. And the kid, I can't even remember his name now, the quarterback that year for A&M, who eventually transferred to Auburn. You'll remember. I don't even know what's happened to him now. But that year, he just played lights out against Alabama that night, and they beat him. That was one big. I mean, what do you say about that? They're 6-10 in the SEC in 2 years, and one of those 6 wins was against Alabama. They beat Alabama. What do you say about that? Despite one of the nation's strongest pay-for-play collectives, I'm not reading NIL anymore. Sometimes it may slip out in the conversation, y'all, but just here we go, PSA, public service announcement. I ain't reading NIL anymore. It's a lie. I will say pay-for-play when I can think of it. Despite one of the nation's strongest pay-for-play collectives and an excellent recruiting location less than 2 hours from Houston in southeast Texas, the Aggies haven't translated success on the field. Lost their Week 2 home game last year to Appalachian State, and offensive coordinator Kevin Barbay endured a 5-game losing streak before finishing with an upset of LSU. They have 6 wins in 2 years in the SEC. One of them's against Alabama, and one of them's against LSU. Now, figure that out. And how did they respond? How have they responded to that? They hired Bobby Petrino to be their offensive coach. So everybody's saying Notre Dame. Like I said, Chuck said Notre Dame. Miko said it. Russ on Facebook said Miami comes to mind, biggest underachiever. I think they got to be on the list somewhere. Nunya commented on the Country Pleasing text line and said, is number 2 Florida State on the list? Nope. But Russ, Miami is. Okay, so tied at number 2 for the biggest underachievers are USC, the Trojans. They got a Heisman winner, but they don't have the wins and championships, whatever. Texas and Miami. So according to this article, this is ESPN, biggest underachiever in college football, A&M. Right behind them, Texas and Miami and USC. Chuck commented on YouTube, says, yes, A&M does less with more than anyone else. Notre Dame gets a pile of name recognition, but does little to capitalize on it when it matters. Yeah. Uncle D sent me the text, GIF of Jimbo Fisher celebrating that win over Alabama a couple years ago. Josh texted the show, said, if it's about last year, you could say maybe Notre Dame, but before last year, you can't say Notre Dame was a major underachiever. Brian Kelly was winning 10-plus games a year. Just because they didn't win a national championship, they are underachievers is a good point. Josh, it's a very valid feet on the ground point. They stunk last year after Brian Kelly left. Prior to that, and he had done a good job. What does he do? He goes to LSU, does all kinds of weird, stupid stuff, recruiting stuff, using an accent, doesn't matter. He's a good football coach. They beat Alabama, and they go to the SEC title game in his first year. I mean, come on. Credit where credit's due, right? Jason in Flagstaff says Notre Dame, Brian Kelly specifically, overachieved. Folks forget that they didn't drop the entrance requirements for football players for Kelly like they did Lou Holtz, and that's probably why he left. And then you said it sounded like the quarterback called his own plays against Alabama. No, they had one of those nights where he was on. He made every play. Zach, what was his last name? Zach what? And he wound up transferring to Auburn, got hurt, and I don't know where he is now. I can't remember his last name now. Brad texts the show or comments on Facebook, says Miami had a great run of those teams in the 80s and early 90s. They did. And, of course, I mean, don't forget the early 2000s. Ken Dorsey was their quarterback. Great teams, national championships. Larry Coker, their head coach. So it's been more recent than that. Yes, Jimmy and White Denzel reminding me that it was Zach Calzada. I could not remember. And, again, that was his first year to be the starter that year at A&M was in 21 because the other guy got hurt. The guy they started the year with got hurt. So Calzada took over and did some good things, but also did some bad things. but had a ton of talent. Had one of these big, strong arms where he could just flick his wrist and the ball's, RPMs and miles per hour, man. Talent for days. And so when he hit throws, it looked great, and he hit them against Alabama. He missed some against State, but they pressured him. State really pressured him into mistakes. That year they beat him. That was 2 years ago. So then he transferred. He's at Auburn last year, and I, like you say, I hadn't heard from him. I don't know. It seemed like maybe he got hurt again or something. Anyhow, there you go. I just don't disagree with what they're saying. And Russ mentioned Miami. They got them at number 2 in that tier 2. So tier 1 of biggest underachievers in football, according to ESPN, tier 1 is Texas A&M alone. They're the only one in tier 1. At number 2 slot is USC, Texas, and Miami. At number 3, UCLA, Maryland, and Arizona State. At number 4, North Carolina and NC State. Number 5, South Florida, UNLV, Texas State. They're saying that because of where they are and where their footprint is. And tier 6, teams like Colorado, Nebraska, and Rutgers who are just trying to get into a bowl game. I mean, that's Colorado and Nebraska being where they are and have been coming out of, right, massive underachievers. Very interesting. I love hearing what you think on this. So shoot me a message here, comment, send a text. More coming up. I'm Matt in the Bureau. Stick around.
Today's game from Tuscaloosa, Alabama.
Time was, their breakfasts were gloomy. They just didn't feel right, and they didn't know a delicious cereal could help their sad plight. So they tried this and tried that, but irregularity kept coming back all the same. For as often the case, lack of bulk in their diet was actually to blame. Once at the grocer's, the wife was so drooping and sagging that a neighbor said, "Get on Kellogg's All-Bran wagon. Why, All-Bran has a flavor that's scrumptious to eat. So rich and nut-like, makes breakfast a treat. And of course, Kellogg's All-Bran can help you each day to youthful regularity, the dietary way." "Well, it might do some good," said the wife with a sigh. "Guess I'll get some All-Bran and give it a try." Soon, breakfasts at her house were happy and bright, for delicious Kellogg's All-Bran set their day off right. Yes, All-Bran supplies all the bulk in your diet, you see, that you may need for youthful regularity. And no half-brand cereal possibly can provide this help as surely as Kellogg's All-Bran. A delicious, non-habit-forming aid to your diet. You're sure to like All-Bran. Just buy it and try it.
Get on the Kellogg's All-Bran wagon with the best bran in the land. The cereal that tastes grand, the cereal that's All-Bran, a breakfast treat that can't be beat. Be a regular guy and climb aboard the All-Bran wagon. Eat Kellogg's All-Bran.
What is the secret of this enchanted book? What wonders are hidden within its pages? What magical spell does it cast on all who read it? What is the secret of the never-ending story?
But that's impossible!
You will enter a world where a young boy's imagination becomes a vivid reality. The world of Atreyu and Artax, the Rockbiter, and a good and kind gnome. A world that is vast and eternal, treacherous and dazzling. unforgettable, and free. For anyone who's ever made a wish, believed in a fantasy, or had a dream, this is the never-ending story.
It's a new thing. It's a fun thing. It's a swing wing. It's a what? It's a swing wing. It's a wing wing. A brand new classic grand fun thing. It's a what? It's a swing wing. A fun thing. And now it's your favorite store thing. It's a what?
Mazda announces some great news for truck buyers. Right now, you can beat the already outstanding value of the $67.95 Mazda SE5. Introducing Mazda SE5 Plus 5. $625 worth of extra features at no extra charge from Mazda. You get a bed liner, mud guards, sliding rear window, floor mats, and AM/FM stereo. That's a $625 value at no extra charge. But hurry, offer ends soon.
At the Zone 1059.com.
All right, I'm rolling along with you here on this Monday. This show's gone by quickly, man. It just seems like I just started. Why? I know they say time flies, you're having fun. It may just fly when you're getting old. One or the other. Maybe I'm having fun and getting old and it doubles up on me. I don't know, but it seems to have gone by quickly. Glad you're here. Plenty of time left for us to get into whatever you want to get into today. So text or call or comment on the live stream, if y'all are part of that. Howdy. Type it in there, hit submit, and we can pop it up on the screen. Be a part of the conversation that way. Jimmy, how about that? I did not know this. So that guy, Zach Calzada, who was A&M's, he was supposed to be A&M's backup quarterback in 2021, became the starter because of an injury to the starter. Beat Alabama, lit them up, played great, had some ups and downs throughout the year, but certainly had talent, all of that kind of stuff. After 1 year there, he bounces up out of there to Auburn, wound up at Auburn last year in what was Brian Harson's final year. At the same time, the big kid from LSU, TJ Finley, also transferred to Auburn. And they were all vying to replace Bo Nix, who transferred to Oregon, right, last year. And it turned out they just went with the kid, Robbie Ashford from Hoover. I don't remember the specific, but it seems like there was an injury in there for Calzada that sort of interrupted his deal. I don't know that. And then Jimmy says he is now at Incarnate Word. So he is the quarterback now at Incarnate Word. I did not know that's where he wound up. Appreciate you letting me know. How would y'all feel about just a little bit of NFL update?
Football in America is a special game, a unique game, played nowhere else on earth. It is a rare game. The men who play it make it so.
Free agent running back Kareem Hunt will visit the New Orleans Saints tomorrow. The old NFL film stuff. It doesn't get any better than that. It doesn't get any better than that. Come on. The Saints are looking for running back depth after Eno Benjamin placed on injured reserve with a ruptured Achilles. Starting running back Alvin Kamara will be suspended for the first 3 games of the season because of a personal conduct deal. Jamal Williams signed with the Saints in free agency. They've got a few others in there now. This cat can play. Kareem Hunt can play. It's just he hadn't been a very good, person. It doesn't seem like in the past. Kareem Hunt began his NFL career with the Kansas City Chiefs, and boy, did he ever look good in his rookie year, and then got in some trouble off the field, bounced up out of there, wound up in the Chiefs were like, you're out of here. He wound up in Cleveland. Maybe he's been somewhere else. I do know he can play, but it shows you the kind of talent that he is. He's 28 years old. Sounds crazy, but that's old for a running back. He was a third-round draft pick for the Chiefs in 2017, 4 seasons with the Cleveland Browns, played in 17 games for the Browns last year with no starts. He was a backup to Nick Chubb, had 400 yards, 3 touchdowns rushing, caught a few passes, all that. He was, like I told you, he was a Pro Bowl guy his rookie year. He was the NFL's leading rusher in 2017. That was back on an Alex Smith Chiefs team prior to Mahomes, and then had the off-the-field issue. So, yeah, keep an eye. I mean, look, here again, he's 28 years old. He can play. You know, the other thing I was thinking about, that's running back for the Saints. Who are the quarterbacks in that division? Help me out here. So it's Derek Carr for the Saints. It's a rookie first pick, Bryce Young for the Panthers. Who's the Falcons quarterback? And who is Tampa's quarterback? You might know. Who's going to play quarterback for the Buccaneers? Is it Trask? Because if it is, okay, like let's just say it's Trask, okay, and who knows how the year goes. But you got 6 foot nothing, 190 nothing, Bryce Young. I know he's number 1 pick, is super talented for Carolina. Somebody for the Buccaneers, who knows who for Atlanta? Who's in Atlanta? And Derek Carr for the Saints. Somebody on YouTube said for Atlanta it's going to be Desmond Ridder, who I really liked him coming out of college, right? But he's got, 1 year of pro experience last year, played a little bit? Maybe he's great. Okay, well, let's go with that. Let's go with this. White Denzel says Trask will be the quarterback for the Buccaneers and Desmond Ridder for the Falcons. And J-Rock agrees with that. Well, let's go with that, okay? You got a division. If you're a Saints fan, I mean, you just need to keep people healthy. Okay, I know that sometimes just because you have the more experienced players doesn't mean you win. I get it. There's a whole lot of things that go into it, right? There's so many things that go into it. But if you just got to keep the right people healthy, I mean, you're going into a year where you've got Derek Carr, who I think way more highly of than a lot of other people do. I thought he's really good at times for the Raiders, much more so than he ever got credit for, I thought. I mean, a few years ago, they were within a point or two of sending Joe Burrow and the Bengals home in the playoffs, and they wound up in the Super Bowl. You've got Derek Carr that you're building your team around, Cam Jordan on the defensive side of the ball. You just got to piece it together until you get Kamara back at running back in a division with a rookie Bryce Young, Trask, and Desmond Ridder playing quarterback for the other 3 teams in your division. Huh? I don't look. We'll see how it plays out. I would think this is an opportunity. I would think this is an opportunity. Chuck says there are some rumors that the Bucs might try and pick up Trey Lance from San Francisco on the cheap. Well, maybe so, because they're going to start the kid from last year, right? Who basically won the job on the field last year. Can't even remember his name. Played in the playoffs. But still, even so, Saints are in a whole different position than those other teams, unless Bryce Young goes and plays like the number 1 overall pick. And we've seen a bunch of them that didn't. So I'm not doubting him. I'm just stating the fact there. Jake from Yazoo says that he got a report saying that Hunt is in New Orleans today. Okay. Well, it may be. So maybe he's there today getting a tour. have sure enough meetings tomorrow. The report I saw said Tuesday, but it could be today. I don't know. Oh, the games. I mentioned this in the first hour. Let me give you, Tiger David, thank you. I could see what I mean. Brock Purdy. I couldn't remember Purdy. You have NFL preseason games this week, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And I was wrong earlier because I said I thought it was Cowboys and Saints play. No, it's Chiefs and Saints. And it'll be Sunday at noon Eastern, 11 Central. So now if you go to early worship service at church on Sunday, you might be home in time to see this. Don't worry about it. The NFL Network will replay it all week long. But if you don't go to an early worship service at church on Sunday and you go do a regular one, well, when you get out of church around noon, this game will have been going on for about an hour already. It's just a preseason game, the first for both. But I would think if you're a Saints fan and today or tomorrow you strike a deal with Kareem Hunt to be your running back or one of your running backs, I would think he practices a couple of days and maybe gets a carry or two, maybe in that preseason game in New Orleans on Sunday. It's at the Superdome. It'll be the Chiefs in there. Okay, here are the other. And you have another one Sunday afternoon, by the way. It'll be 49ers Raiders. Again, this is preseason stuff. And anytime you hear a preseason game, all you need to think about is who are the new guys that may get snaps? Who are the college players they drafted? Maybe there's a guy from my team I root for, like, if it's State or Ole Miss or whoever it is that's trying to make the team or is on the team as a young player. Yeah, that's all you need to think about these preseason games because, like, the Cowboys aren't going to play Dak, obviously. Now, the Panthers, I think, are going to play Bryce Young, and rightfully so. Let him, go ahead and play some in the preseason. But Thursday night preseason games, Texans-Patriots, it's on the NFL Network, and Vikings-Seahawks, it's on the NFL Network. Friday, you got a whole bunch of preseason games, including Packers-Bengals. The aforementioned Falcons play in Miami in a preseason game, so you want to watch Desmond Ridder, see what he looks like, turn that one on. Cowboys are going to play on Saturday. They're going to host the Jaguars in a preseason game, and again, I don't think Dak's going to play, but take a look at their draft picks. New tight end in Dallas, all that stuff. All right. Any questions on that? No? Didn't think so. I'm Matt. Stick around.
Wished for one product that would clean and shine almost everything in your house? Here it is. Clean and Shine. Like magic, Clean and Shine leaves a nice shine on fine wood furniture, so you don't need furniture polish. It cleans and shines mirrors, so you don't need glass cleaner for mirrors. It cleans and shines refrigerators, like this kitchen product. Even countertops, tile, and vinyl. Try new Clean and Shine, the foam that cleans and shines almost everything in your house.
Someday when people look at me, they'll say, there goes Roy Hobbs, the best there ever was.
TriStar Pictures presents Robert Redford in The Natural, the story of a father and a son.
You got a gift, Roy, but it's not enough.
Of love.
He means the world to me.
And desire.
I'm not waiting for true love to come along, Roy.
A champion.
Roy Hobbs comes along once, maybe twice in everybody's lifetime.
And his destiny.
With or without the records, they'll remember you.
Best there is now, and best there ever will be.
I wouldn't bet against me.
I already have.
Robert Redford, Robert Duvall, Glenn Close, Kim Basinger, Wilford Brimley, Barbara Hershey, Robert Prosky, and Richard Farnsworth as Red. The Natural.
You know me. Would you believe I'm Bugs Bunny? I'm also the voice of many other cartoon characters. But in here, they don't care if I'm Elmer Fudd. So I carry an American Express card. The one card I need for travel and entertaining, for business and pleasure. Why, without this, the only way I'd get any attention is by saying, that's all, folks.
To apply for a card, call 800-528-8000.
The American Express card. Don't leave home without it.
The following is a presentation of TBS Sports. Exclusively on Superstation TBS. Superstation TBS presents the Atlanta Braves, America's team. Atlanta Braves baseball is brought to you by Budweiser. Beechwood Age for that distinctively clean, crisp taste that makes Budweiser the king of beers. This Bud's for you. By the official airline of the Atlanta Braves, Delta. We love to fly, and it shows. And by Eckerd Drugs, America's family drugstore.
If a man you've never met before suddenly gives you flowers, that's Elation, the exciting new fragrance from Impulse.
Thursday, it's Cosby starting off a night of family fun. And leave it to Family Ties to keep the laughs coming.
Oh, no. What are we going to do? Everything's under control.
Then on Cheers, will Norm think on a friend to get a promotion? Yeah, yes, yes. And the fun continues with Night Court.
I'm here to strip for Dan Fielding.
Thursday.
Oh, what a meal, oh,
Hamburger Helper Lasagna.
for your family.
Authentic Italian taste.
Hearty robusto, but not too spicy, eh?
Hamburger Helper Lasagna turns your plain hamburger into a delicious Italian meal with authentic Italian taste. Curly Italian noodles, rich tomato sauce, and a better blend of spices.
Hamburger Helper. Lasagna.
Helper, hamburger helper.
All right, back with you. I'm Matt in the Bureau, the Farm Bureau Insurance Studio. Farm Bureau, go! With the home team. They are your home team at Farm Bureau Insurance all across the great state of Mississippi. Hey, Beaver.
Hey.
How are you?
I'm doing all right over here.
Has it been a busy Monday? Do people still walk in there and bother you like during the show when you're trying to work?
Uncle Bill has been really the only one lately.
Yeah.
But he'll make his time count, because if anyone else comes in here to bother me, they'll just come in and ask a quick question.
Yeah.
No, when Uncle Bill comes in to bother, he will sit down and stay for about 30 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
So he makes use of his time more than anyone else.
There you go. My man, Bill. I would like to make use of our time, Beaver, doing something on this show that has never been done before. But I want to say this first. What I'm about to ask you to do, you are fully within your rights to say no. And if you say no, I will not hold it against you. Now, how's that for a lead in?
Yeah, I have no idea what's coming now.
Okay.
I don't feel good about this.
So I sent you a link a minute ago.
Oh, the copyrighted music?
Yeah, the song lyrics or whatever. You see that?
Yeah.
If I ask you to read some of those lyrics in just a minute, all you got to do is read them. You don't have to sing them. Now, you could sing them if you wanted to sing them, but you don't have to sing them. You could just maybe read them.
Just lyrics. Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
It's just lyrics.
I saw it earlier, and I thought it was a link to the music, and you said save it for later, and my immediate thought was, Matt Wyatt knows that I'm not going to play copyrighted music.
Right.
I'm not going to get fined $20,000.
Because what I did, right, I would never ask you to get fined $20,000. So what I did is I took about a 20-second snippet, which is totally legal for me to hit on the button over here, as opposed to you playing the song. I cover it that way.
Okay, so you want these lyrics.
Well, yes, but first I'm going to tell everybody that on this day in 1982, on American Bandstand, a band called Flock of Seagulls performed this song. Now, the intro is everybody's already bobbing their head. It's generational music. Now, it's from 1982. But everybody knows this song. Everybody knows that song. Okay, that's Flock of Seagulls. They sang that song on the American Bandstand stage in 1982, on this day in 82. So, Beaver, give me a shot of those lyrics. Start at the top. What does it say in this song?
I walked along the avenue.
Caught me off guard, man. I didn't expect you to sing it.
I walked along the avenue. I never thought I'd meet a girl like you. With auburn hair and tawny eyes. The kind of eyes that hypnotize me through. And I ran so far away. I just ran. I ran all night and day. I couldn't get away.
Beaver, what in the world were these lyrics about? Okay, hit me with the second verse.
A cloud appears above your head. A beam of light comes shining down on you. The cloud is moving nearer still. Aurora Borealis comes in view.
And the chorus, one more time.
And I ran so far away. I just ran. I ran all night and day. I couldn't get away.
I can't figure out how the chorus of this song matches with the lyrics. I mean, with the verses. And the verses, I ain't sure what's going on. Beaver, thank you for being a good sport. You want to finish the song? There is one more verse.
Sure. I think this ties it all together.
Okay.
Reached out a hand to touch your face. You're slowly disappearing from my view. Peering from my view. We just took the dissa and said peering from my view.
Yeah, we took the dissa off.
Yeah. Reached out a hand to try again. I'm floating in a beam of light with you. A beam of light with you.
And
I ran. I ran so far away. I just ran. I ran all night and day. And I ran so far away. I just ran. I couldn't get away.
I just ran. You know what? We should never make fun of rap lyrics ever again. Okay, because they didn't start it. The dumb lyrics thing. Becoming a millionaire on dumb lyrics. They didn't start it. This was Flock of Seagulls in 1982. In fact, you know what we might need to do, Beaver? You gave me a great segment idea yesterday. I will not let the cat out of the bag and spoil it for the listeners, viewers, right now. But I'm going to do it. Okay, but another one might be Beaver finds and reads the dumbest song lyrics we can find. I hate when I don't want to put you in a bad spot because I know I don't want you to make fun of someone you don't want to make fun of, which reading dumb lyrics is kind of that. I would just say if we find some, we might need to read them on the air. Okay? That's all I'm saying.
Oh, I'm for that. And don't worry, there's a lot of dumb lyrics out there.
I mean, is there anything less What's the right word here? Is there anything less consistent than what it takes to write a hit song? I mean, some of the stuff, and there's some things out there, you look at it, you read the song lyrics or you hear it, and it's like poetry, and it's like the prettiest, most beautiful artistic thing you've ever heard. And then there's things like this. I just ran. I ran so far away. I ran all night, all day. I couldn't get away. I just ran. How do you turn that into a song? Turd Ferguson on the Country Pleasing text line, better known as Burt Reynolds, says, great song. Beaver knows I'm a huge Beck fan, but read lyrics of Loser. Okay, we're going to preview him first. But that's a fun song. Yeah, sure. I'm a loser, baby. JC Texas Show says, Beav, do not do this with Creed. I don't know. Sometimes it does not take much, apparently, sometimes to have a hit song. That's all I'm going to say about that. Yeah, and I did tease a little bit. I will give you the details. I'm still kind of putting a little sounder together that we'll use for this. Beaver gave me an idea at the end of last week that is a fantastic idea with a name and a title and everything. And he already gave me the title for Fishing Till Football, which we did a couple of shows of those in the office. Oh, by the way, there's a new one of those, Fishing Till Football, that involves me and my dad, Joe Wyatt. And it's edited. It's ready to go. I'll probably publish it tonight at some point. So if you're on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, y'all will see it there. And it's just a fun thing. I had some leftover footage from a few trips, but then a trip that not even really a trip, just hanging out with Dad. We caught some fish and we filmed it. And so we got one of those. But yeah, so that's Beaver, Fishing Till Football. This is a new thing, too. It's going to be a part of the show. And I didn't think of it. I didn't ask for it. He just said to me, he said, hey, I thought of something. And immediately, like the light bulb goes on, you go, yeah, that's a hit idea. That's a hit. I'm sure it was the same light bulb in the same way that went off for these people, Flock of Seagulls, when they saw the lyrics. And I ran. I ran so far away. I just ran. I ran all night. I ran all day. I couldn't get away. What? It didn't take much sometimes, folks. It does not take much. For Beaver, I'm Matt. All of us here on the show in the Bureau, the Farm Bureau Insurance Studio, Farm Bureau Insurance. Go with the home team. We'll see you tomorrow, same time, same place. See you then. See you.